We are talking about biopics. What is the winning formula of biopics? Now, Snobs Movie Summer School is something that I thought up that I thought would kind of be fun. You can watch it on the YouTube channel, or you can watch or listen to it here on the Scene Snobs podcast every week for the summer. If it catches on, you guys like it, it's going to be tweaked. It's going to be here and there. It's the second week. So if you guys have any input on it or you want to see certain things, let me know. But I'm going to be taking different elements and I'm going to be talking about different things. And hopefully you guys enjoy it. I wanted to talk about biopics because I was watching a few different ones the other day, and some work and some do not work. I was watching that Queen Bohemian Rhapsody biopic, and it's just not great at all. And Chris, I appreciate you saying my sentiments exactly about the Flash movie. And Chris Sales saying that, and Chris Harris saying more snobs, hell yeah, and you're saying that to saying that about us doing Snobs Nation Morning Drives. Radar, what's going on, buddy? Thanks for joining in, man. So with the Snobs Movie Summer School, I wanted to get into talking about the biopics because knowing what works and what doesn't work, I wanted to touch down on what I think. And I would love to hear what you guys think. So sound off in the comments again, or head over to the Discord, to Patreon, things like that, and let's talk about it. Also, the Snob Nation Facebook group, if you're on there, it is available. It is open. Hit me up. Go over to the Scene Snobs page if you can't find it, because there's a private group, and I will be more than happy to invite you in. It's not a problem. You just send us a message, and I will send you the invite. But let's talk about it, okay? What do I think? What do I think makes a biopic work? There are three things ultimately at the top of it that makes a biopic, puts it at a different level of a biopic. So it's either bad, does not work. It's either middle of the road, you watch and you're like, oh, that's pretty good, I learned something. Or it's great. It's perfect. You're like, this works on all cylinders. I want to learn more about this person. Is this real? What works? What doesn't work? Oh, I take a little sip talking so much. So for me, while I'm watching a biopic, I want to learn some things. But what I think makes a great biopic is the sensationalism. You need the legend. You need the things that are really going to make it. What are great biopics to me? Rocket Man. I talk about Bohemian Rhapsody saying that's a bad one. Because for me, it's the ego that was in it. It's not about, they're trying to say, this is Queen, this is Queen, this is Queen. They're not telling the story. When let's face facts, you're not giving us any real personal information about anybody in Queen except for Freddie Mercury, and he's dead. And you're really not giving much in that movie. You're kind of just saying that he went off the rails a little bit, but you're not really giving us any details, which there are so many details himself he gave us and other people that really knew him gave us that you could have used. And you did make him the main focus, which you should have. He should have been the main focus. It should have been a Freddie Mercury biopic, personally, I think. And it shouldn't have been done by Queen. Queen should have never stepped in and said, okay, we're in charge of this. It was a terrible idea. The only good part about that movie, in my opinion, was the final 20 minutes when they did the Live Aid performance. But you can watch the actual Live Aid performance. Why not just watch Freddie Mercury? But then you get something like Rocket Man, which completely sensationalizes everything. It is his real story and his deal with addiction, is dealing with homosexuality, is dealing with all aspects of his life. His father, and how his father abandoned him, and his mother, how cruel she was to him. All of these aspects are in there. All of his heartbreak is in there. All of his music is in there. But all the fantasy is in there. It plays out like it is a fantasy movie, and it's wonderful. And it's just beautifully told. And I think that's how you make a biopic work. So like when you have certain elements that stand out like that in biopics, it really hits the right tone, and what do I mean by that? So like, what other biopics really stand out that sensationalize? Okay. A great biopic that sensationalizes doesn't make it about any one thing or one person. So like, let's take Moneyball. Okay. Yeah, that movie's about Billy Beane. It's a biopic about Billy Beane using the money situation, using money as a way to scout rather than the old ways of baseball. But they told the story in that way. They put the heart behind it. Billy Beane wasn't about Billy Beane using this method as much as it was Billy Beane coming around to try and understand this method, adopt this method, loving baseball, while just trying to keep his head above water. And like, there's so much sensationalism there of like, are you worried about him? Is he going to make it? Are they going to win? I knew they were going to win when that movie came out. I had watched the season. I knew how well they were going to do. I knew what happened to him. So, but it was so sensationalized. It was really well done. Malcolm X. Let's go to another one. This is the story. I mean, he did such an amazing job. Now he is the focus. Now this is one where, yes, Malcolm X is the focus, but he is so sensational in it. Denzel Washington's performance in it makes him so bigger than life. The whole story is just resonating. And then you take Spike Lee's filmmaking, and that makes a great biopic. But then you take something like Straight Outta Compton, which is a good one. I really enjoyed it when I watched it, but it's not one I can keep revisiting. It's not it tells a great story, but it's just, you take all the sensationalism out of it. That could have been so much better of a story where you added more to it. You added more twists and turns. You added the storytelling aspects that you need within the realm of movies. And so many biopics don't do that. And I wish they would, because there's so, like, Ray did a really good job. Ray, I would put in a great column, because like Ray adds to that. Ray goes and he tells the story, and it's yeah, you get the idea of who he is, but it's bigger than life. Everything you're seeing is bigger than life. Same with like a one Tim Burton did, Ed Wood. I think that's a great one, because it's not just about Ed Wood. It's about everything Ed Wood was doing at the time, and everyone that was around him, and the weird world he lived in. And we got to see it through his eyes. And when you get to see those things and you get to live those feelings that created the greatness that means that this is going to exist, that's what makes him great. But that's why so many aren't that great. That's why so many don't stand the test of time. You don't go and revisit it. You don't, there are moments maybe in these movies that are fantastic, but they're just don't stand out ultimately. And it just takes you out of it. One that I think should go down in a great column, some might say good, but is Weird, the Weird Al Yankovic story. It's so over the top. It's so crazy. It's so weird. It matches the tone of him, the man, perfectly. And I dug that so much. And there's just so many aspects to telling a good biopic that, when it gets down to it, if you don't do these things, you're going to have a bad one, and it's going to shine. The Steve Jobs, like the Michael Fassbender and the Ashton Kutcher, now they're good acting in them, but there was nothing there. They were hollow. You focused on the man, and you were telling two different stories, that one about redemption, another one where it really wasn't about redemption. It was more just telling you who this guy was. And none of it really worked out well. And it just wasn't that great. The Wired, somebody had brought up Wired, the John Belushi documentary. That's a great book. If you've ever read that book, it's fantastic. But that movie dropped the ball big time. How do you not sensationalize the life of John Belushi? That is so easy, and there's so many things you could do, and that book leaves so much open to it. But the fact that they didn't just kills it. It destroys how much it is, how much is there. And let's take two other ones. The Queen with Helen Mirren really sensationalized her life. It tells a dramatic tale that was just really well told and wonderfully acted and well done. And it gives you this inside look at something that's, it's a devastating world, but it gives you a different idealism of her life. And then you have Diana, which is the one with Naomi Watts that came out, I want to say 2001, maybe? Around that time. And no, I forget when it came out. It came out a while ago, but and it just was dull. It gave us nothing really. It was just like nothing really to hold on to, and it just stunk. And I just did not dig it at all, personally. So, biopics are a fickle thing. I think if you make them bigger than life, they can be great. I think like Greatest Showman is a perfect idea of what it flopped in the movies, but since then has become this huge thing, this huge musical that everyone loves and has been revisited and made tons of money. I think it made more money after its run in the movie theater, initial run, by coming back in the movie theater so many times than it did when it was first there. So, and the reason for that is because it's this huge, over the top, sensationalized view of what the circus was back then, and P.T. Barnum and who he was. And I love that aspect of it. I think they just did a super job of it. Chris says I'm waiting for the Mick Manhattan movie. There's no sensationalism there, my friends. Keep waiting. Nobody wants to see that. But yeah, I think if you're going to make a biopic work, sensationalism is the key. I don't care where it's at. You gotta make the movie a movie. You have to think about. I know you want to tell the story, but a movie that you are making about somebody's life should honor them in some way, unless it's like you're telling a story about Hitler or something. Who cares? Screw them. But like it should honor them in some way if that's your goal. But it should sensationalize them in such a way. It should tell the legend of who they were to almost to push the movie more, to get people to go out and research for themselves who this person was. I want to know the facts. So I'm going to go look it up. This was a good movie. This movie made me want to do that. There's so many movies that don't do that. Or they don't add that drama. They don't add those elements. The biopics that do that you're just like, I don't want to learn anything about this. I don't care. And that's happened. So I think that's how you make the winning formula for a biopic. But you guys share with me what you think. I would love to hear it. Sound off in the comments. Let me know. Join up in the Discord. Let's continue the conversation there, or the Facebook group. Love to hear from you. All right, let's get into it. Our last segment of the night.